A few moments ago, I placed a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And as I stepped back and stood during the moment of silence that followed, I said a small prayer. And it occurred to me that each of my predecessors has had a similar moment, and I wondered if our prayers weren't very much the same, if not identical. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And I wonder, in fact, if all Americans' prayers aren't the same as those I mentioned a moment ago. For all we can ever do for our heroes is remember them and remember what they did, and memories are transmitted through words. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. And all we can do is remember. There's always someone who is remembering for us. No matter what time of year it is or what time of day, there are always people who come to this cemetery, leave a flag or a flower or a little rock on a headstone. And they stop and bow their heads and communicate what they wished to communicate. I think sometimes of General Matthew Ridgway, who the night before D-Day tossed sleepless on his cot and talked to the Lord and listened for the promise that God made to Joshua. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. We're surrounded today by the dead of our wars. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us. All we can do is try to see that other young men never have to join them. Today, as never before, we must pledge to remember the things that will continue the peace. Today, as never before, we must pray for God's help in broadening and deepening the peace we enjoy. Let us pray for freedom and justice and a more stable world. And let us make a compact today with the dead. A promise in the words for which General Ridgway listened: I will not fail thee nor forsake thee.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I figured, I wanted, as always, many of you know my deep respect for those that have and currently serve. And I figure I've done a few, kind of monologues over the course of pre-market prep, but I figure the old Gipper could do it better than I could. So, as always, I would like to thank all of those, and profanity warning. Of all the days to not care about any of these stupid shit that people fixate on, today's the day to think about stuff that really mattered, and men that really mattered, and women that really mattered, and everyone that's affected by them and has benefited from what they have done. So try and focus on that instead of this stupid daily outrage of the day. All right, Conley asks about PPSI moving again. PPSI. Ooh, man, every day this thing hangs around. I mean, listen, you got an electric vehicle play, former squeezer. I know morons on Twitter will say it collapsed, air quotes collapsed. The stock is still up 150% on the week. Low float, Tesla's back, Rivian IPO did well. You know what I'm going to say, EVs, and this is a dip and rip all day long. So, PPSI, whoops, I need to launch my Power Toys so that I have my timestamp. There we go. PPSI, dip and rip all day. For reasons explained. I won't type it because I already said it. And maybe I'll even spell explained right. You know, there's an idea. And I would say, you know, top of the list. Definitely top of the list. Man, I love all of you. I mean, like most of you are asking about EV plays. Well done. Love it. Ride. Pushed through last night's highs. Probably breaking like 7. Ebook pattern, you know. So what makes it that ebook pattern? You know, again, this is that big mover last night. Holds around, consolidating at VWAP. It's a multi-week breakout. Breaks 8. It's a multi-month breakout. So you got multiple time frame alignment here. It's holding VWAP, gapped up from last night. That's that you know, hot sector play as well. So that's that break of previous days highs we talk about. KPLT news. Catapult Holdings. What is this? What is this? Catapult Holdings. Oh, it's consumer credit. Okay. So bear with me. I'd never heard of Catapult. Listen, I like to think I'm pretty plugged in, but I don't know every publicly traded company. Now that I see this, I would push you more towards the upstarts and the affirms. But keep in mind, before EVs warmed back up, this consumer credit stuff was hot. Remember, SoFi, Upstart, Affirm. So this is kind of a penny stock sympathy play to the consumer credit stuff. I certainly don't hate this. My opinion's going to be stick with the EV stuff, I think. But I'm going to butcher your name, Meyer Lore. I don't hate it. Volume's not great. But I would say this. I think that when and if, it's a big if the EV sector slows down, I think this consumer credit sector will warm back up. Go back to a few weeks ago. We talked about it a ton. So good find, Meyer Lloyd. Good find. And speaking of Affirm, Brian asked about Affirm. So my thing is, if you're not going to trade EVs, if you choose, and that's fine. I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, I did a webinar yesterday for the Steady Trade. The last couple days for the Steady Trade team, I've about like collapsed in the middle of the webinar because there's just so much out there. So I would say this, Brian, if you don't like EVs, break them for last night's highs, VWAP hold into the afternoon on the consumer credit stuff. So standard swing trade approach to an earnings winner. If you don't like EVs for some reason, this is the number 2 sector for me. What do you think about MIME, hot sector, cybersecurity? No volume. So GB, I mean, it's just yesterday it traded, 700,000 shares yesterday, barely trading today. So GB, I would do this, set an alert for volume. You can set alerts in StocksToTrade for a volume level. You can do it in other platforms. I'm going to beg you to avoid illiquid stocks. So RWLK is back, yeah. Speaking about nothing dies, man. Worst stock in the world? This stock had spiked and failed 500 times in my career. But it's a dip and rip over 2. Again, it's not EVs. Okay, I want you to be careful with non-EV stuff. But it's a dip and rip if it gets there. Non-EV dip and rip. LCID. EV, thank you. VWAP hold or dip and rip. I mean, this is, and I'm going to finish on this. So what I love about when we have a true hot sector, which we have, Tesla's back green again. I told you. Remember the other day? I time-stamped it. I won't bring it up. What was it, Monday? Yeah, Monday. PPSI high day. Shit. That's the second time I swore today. Anyway, what I love about hot sectors is the simplicity of them. It's all, and again, I know I bring up the ebook. I'm sure 99% of you have it, but get that ebook out, print those patterns out, the top 5 favorite patterns. And you just pick the EV play that's in your price range. Maybe you like the product, maybe you like the chart the most. And they're dip and rips, their VWAP holds, their breaks of previous day's highs, their VWAP bounces, their weak open red to greens. It's all that, man. And it's just repeat and don't overcomplicate things. I think a mistake a lot of people make is they just overcomplicate stuff. I mean, if you're a new trader with a small account and under the PDT, which probably 80% of you are, just stick to the simplest stuff because you can't trade 50 times a day and you shouldn't be. I mean, again, if you're on this live stream, thank you for being here. You're probably new. If you're new, if you think as a new or maybe intermediate trader, the solution is to trade more, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Okay? I found out that Jizo Pete the other day. I didn't know Jizo Pete's was a Michigan thing. Is heebie-jeebies a Michigan thing as well? Anyway, the point is less simple. Grow your account. Get over the PDT. Get a buffer in your account. Then get experience. Then branch out. Okay? But if you've been in this for 2 weeks or 2 months and you got a $2,000 account and you're under the PDT, if you think more is better, all right. Thank you to all that have served, those that are currently serving, and who knows, maybe some of you are going to serve in the future. Remember stuff that really matters. Veterans Day is something that really matters. What some crybaby celebrity on social media is talking about today doesn't matter. Happy Veterans Day. See you tomorrow.